Hey guys, welcome back to another PSGL Highlights League race. Tonight it is Silverstone. I believe it is round 3 or 4. I don't exactly, already lost count, which I do every single year. But yeah, we actually got a penalty on our previous race in Kota for cutting the pit lane, which I didn't even know that was in the rules. The sort of cut that I did, I thought it was going to be okay, but apparently not. So unfortunately, we don't end up in the top 5 or 4 positions that we would have ended up in, but we actually end up out of the points. So that does stink quite a bit. But anyway, we are now into Silverstone, a track that we as drivers quite enjoy driving, and the gaps are going to be super tiny, being basically almost flat out track. Every year it gets a bit easier and easier to drive with these regulations. Hopefully next year with the new cars, there's going to be a bit more difficulty in the driving, but nonetheless we are going to skip onto my second lap in Q1 because I don't know, I struggled in Q1 in Silverstone for some reason. I just didn't really find the grip that the others found, and yeah, I did a 3 banker, which was okay, but you saw Barry did a low 1 banker, which I think that was a crazy lap, by the way. But anyway, we're 1.5 tenths up now. We do go out just in case. We don't want to be knocked out in Q1. It's just not worth it. And my last chicane was extremely poor. Lost a tenth there, I would say. So yeah, we do a 2-3, and we are P11. Thomas tops the session with Danny B in P2. Tom Manley, Will Lewis, Reese Wilson, all out in Q1. Alvaro, I believe, had a quali ban from the previous round, where I think he did something in qualifying. But anyway, yeah, he will be starting in last place, as we're not going to stay on board for my Q2 banker, which I think was probably my best lap of the whole session. But yeah, let's go through Silverstone and give you a little bit of a guide as we go down to 3rd gear here. Try to optimize the exit here. You need to open up this turn 4 as much as possible and have really high revs for the exit. We're going to use a lot of ERS down to 70% or so. It's not too important exactly how much ERS you use, but more so how you use it. So basically as early as possible out of the corners, and of course mainly use it out of slow exits. That is where you're going to gain the most time. We do a pretty good lap field there. We have a good exit down to 50ish or so percent here before cops. Flat out, downshift to 7th for the revs. Get a bit on the ERS, because here we actually don't have the DRS open, so it's actually quite a bit worth using the ERS there. Flat out on the S's, a little downshift to 6th. Tiny tap on the brake to get the car rotated, and we have a really good split. We're on for a mid-high 8 here. Probably more like a 8.6 lap time, and that would be amazing, as Otis has a 9.7, so we're on to destroy it. But I've been struggling with the last corner quite a bit in this session, and as you can see, I go so deep once again and just get a really poor line. As it may seem okay, it was okay, but just the line was not the one, and I actually lost a lot of time on the exit. But we're gonna retire with that lap, and thankfully we are through to Q3 using only 1 set of tires, which is very rare in PSGL. To pass Q2 on 1 set of tires is extremely hard, but I was super happy that I managed to do that, so that I have 2 chances in Q3, as we are now on board towards the end of my Q3 banker, which hasn't been really good, to be honest. And once again, if I remember correctly, my last chicane was a bit problematic. Actually, it was, the exit was extremely bad. The beginning was good, but the exit, I lost a tenth, maybe. Yeah. Sector. As you can see, I'm very frustrated with myself because I just couldn't get it right. In practice, it was alright. Maybe it wasn't my best sector, but it was definitely not struggling that much. But here we are on our final lap of the session. We have quite a bit of time to find in sector 1, but we actually don't really get the rotation on the exit, and we were so late on power, so late, and we are down on our banker, which is not good news, but we're going to try and send it as much as possible into the middle sector. 9.4 first, that's about half a tenth off what it should be, especially in session. We have a way too wide line in left field. I just was too scared to put the power down, I think. I don't know why. I felt there was a lot of grip in the session, and there again, missing the apex a little bit, which meant we lost another 100th or so. Onto the S's now, flat out on the right, flat out on the left, lift, tiny tap on the brake for the right of Chapel. And again, we go way too wide and we scrape the bottom of our car.
Kangaroo.
And we lost again a lot, more than 60 or 70 minimum, which is really annoying because, as you guys can see here, I think I do a pretty good last corner if I remember. I actually managed to do it relatively okay, which yeah, I do. It's just the beginning of sector 3 screwed me over, and that's only a 0.85. It should have been much faster, and I was really annoyed at myself. Barry goes on pole with a 0.6. That's a crazy lap time, honestly. Otis as well at 0.68, super close. Freddy as well, 7.0, very hard to beat. But from then on, P4, Jarno, Danny and Thomas had to be very poor lap times from the rest of us. Yeah, I wasn't too happy with that. Half a tenth and I would be P4. So yeah, as you can see here in the race, it's a full wet race. Something that doesn't happen often. But it does happen in Silverstone, of course. As you can see, Ruben Pedreño on the top left, starting on the wet tires. I don't have the start lights on my screen as it's a bug. I know exactly why it happens. It's when you pause and the game and the session then launches as you're paused. You then don't have start lights anymore. As here we go a little bit wide to give some space to the cars on the inside of us. And we've opted for a very dry, not dry setup, of course, because it's full wet race, but a very low wings setup, I should say. Hoping to maybe maintain position in the first few laps. And then hopefully as the race goes on and the track dries up, I'm going to get quicker and quicker and be able to be faster than everyone else on the straights. But yeah, I was struggling the first few laps, that is for sure. You're going to see I'm going to be understeering everywhere and they're going to be able to follow me much closer than I can follow the car ahead myself. And yeah, so Jake Benham with Julian fighting right behind. I think they're going to go side by side into Cobbs, which doesn't end well in the dry. So imagine in the wet, and there it is. Yep, Jake gets pushed, or I don't know, off the track. So yeah, Julian is right behind me, and I noticed straight away, I don't know if you heard me say, Julian is on really high wings compared to myself, and you can see it in the corners. Look at my mirror, he's super close, but then as we get onto the straights, just look at this.
Lower than Julian.
I just pull away and he has way better slipstream than I do on Thomas. So if we can survive the first 5 laps, that would be amazing. Yeah, and also we have to think about the tires and looking after them, because we don't really know if it's going to be a 1-stop or a 0-stop for that matter. If it does keep raining quite a lot and the track stays relatively wet, the tires actually do last till the end if you manage them, and that would be amazing because the pit lane is so long in Silverstone, as you know, one of the longest pit lanes of the year actually. So if you can avoid a stop, it's always the best. But we know that in this game usually the wet dries up, and when it dries up the tire wear goes very high, as Julian tries to go down the inside here and barges us out of the way, which I think it was a push to pass, and I think he realizes as well, because as you can see he lets us through straight away. Yeah, I mean that was absolutely going to be penalized at the end of the race if he kept that position. But now we're a bit further behind now from Thomas, and it's not very good for our slipstream. But yeah, look how close he's following me, like basically in my gearbox.
Crazy high wing.
Yeah, he's on very high wings, which I don't think will help him in the long run. Maybe if we do a 0-stop, he can save the tires a bit better than I can. But if we do end up stopping, which I do believe we will, because the game always dries up a bit, then I should have the advantage later on. As he tries to go down the inside again of left field, he's really trying to get a move on and get past me, but
I'm just trying to make sure I make it to the end if that's the case.
yeah, I'm defending it for my life and trying to save the tires to go to the end if that's the case. Down to 5th gear in Cobbs. Look how much speed he carries behind me. Is actually goes wide there. He carried a bit too much speed this time around. But yeah, don't worry. It seems like I'm about to get gapped, but no, I was just fighting and trying to hold on to Julian because he was diving down the inside a bit everywhere, and I had to defend the inside line, and yeah, my pace was a bit compromised because of it.
For the 1-stop or for the 0-stop. It's not, or is it?
So yeah, I'm talking to engineer, looking at tire wear and data, see if I have to save the tire or not. And it seems like the tire wear is actually going up every lap, which means as Julian
serious.
tries to go down the
What are you
inside
doing?
of the S's, and I was just getting frustrated at this point.
To not cause a crash, please.
I don't know why he was doing that. We were
Why is
losing
that
just
serious?
time to the train ahead for no reason. Like, you're never gonna pass in the middle of the S's in the wet. Like, just try and stay close and go for it at the end of the straight, like any smart person would do. But anyway, I was saying that the tire was going up and up every lap, which means the track was drying, which means temperatures rise, which means the tire wear goes up. So yeah, I was sure we were going to pit at this point. We're going to skip to lap 9 now, and no one has pitted yet. Only the two Williamses have pitted, but that's because they started on the wet tire, and I think they just wanted to do something different from the pack. Very, very risky, and almost never works out because in this game the wets are just so useless. But
I think they
look
can-
at this dry line that we have now. My setup is getting faster and faster. We have gapped Jake, and we are gapping Julian, and we are catching Thomas right in front of us. I think our pace is really good at this moment. I may have a bit worse tires, but I have so much more straight line speed and ERS that I can just push
few laps time, I can-
a little bit more. And we need to wait and get a good pit stop window. And I really want the fresher tires at the end of the race. I was thinking of undercutting to get to the front of the train, but in the wet,
Fair enough.
a 1 lap older tire is actually pretty like significant. You can make a move
Too early.
if you have a bit fresher tires than the car ahead. As we're now on to lap 10, or ending lap 10, as no one in front of us pits yet. But I do believe the first pitter comes in now, and that is the Haas, maybe Reese or yours, I'm not too sure. But yeah,
The tire delta is not bad though on Inter, it's just saying. Because if one lap is 6%, I don't mind having a bit better tires.
so here I was talking to an engineer saying that I actually really want to go for the overcut and go long, because I believe the tire is gonna go so high at the end of the race that
In my opinion.
we might actually not make it to the end pitting this early, as Barry and Danny both pit at the end of lap 11, which I think is a massive mistake. They were thinking to get the undercut and get ahead of the train, but I'm thinking about the long run. And if you're gonna pit now, you're not gonna make it to the end unless you tire save and pray that you don't get a puncture. The tire wear is gonna be 6-7% a lap,
Good pace in
10 laps, and you're on 70%, and you're reaching puncture territory. So that is very, very early. I don't really see them being a threat to me anymore. Actually, I believe I'm gonna get past them at some point in my second stint, as we're now on to lap 12, as Otis reacts alongside Julian Klaffenbach. Again, I still believed way too early to pit lap 12, but as you can see, people are getting the fastest lap by entering the pits, and I see so many things on Twitter and discussions saying that people don't really know this, but we have tested this game and any track more than probably any of you guys watching, and we guarantee you that we know cutting or like entering the pit lane in Silverstone, especially in the wet, is faster than going around. Of course, we know.
They pitted too early, lap
It's
11.
not something that was a surprise to us. We knew we would get the fastest laps entering the pits because you're just cutting like 3 full corners, and in the wet it's so big. As you can see, Freddy pits now and gets the fastest lap again. Yeah, I mean, just wanted to clear that out, as we're now on lap 17 with Jarno in front of us. We're going to be pitting, as we do a very cautious pit entry actually, because I wasn't too sure how the performance of the tires was going to be.
Jesus.
But yeah, very, very cautious. And let's see where we're going to come out. Jake, I believe, hasn't pitted yet, and neither has Duncan. But of course, Duncan can't because he's my teammate. But yeah, Jarno's on the fight for the win here, and he's 5 seconds up the road. But if he catches the train
I don't
early
think
enough,
he was a Duncan pitted already, no?
he will be much slower because it's led by Otis and Barry, who have much older tires. So I should be able to catch them towards the end of the race. As we're now at the back of the train, that is fine. That's what we assumed was going to happen anyway, but we have much fresher tires than most cars ahead. And we're looking at a top 5, top 4 finish here. But considering it was a full wet race, making up 3 or 4 places in the race is a great achievement, believe me. So yeah, we've jumped to lap 20 where we've caught the train already. And Danny, if you remember, was one of the first ones to pit on lap 11. So I have 6 lap fresher tires than Danny at this point, and the difference is just humongous. I mean, you're going to be able to see here. I'm on lower wings, way lower wings, and I have better performance in the corners than him. So yeah, this is just a free pass. There's nothing he can really do. Just making sure I get alongside. Down the inside of turn 3, and we get the position. Next up is Julian, who I believe pitted 2 or 3 laps, I think 3 or 4 laps before me actually. So again, we should have a big tire advantage. And you remember the start of the race? He had very high wings and he was very fast, but we're now at the end of the race with low fuel, very high grip, and the lower wings seem to be doing much better, as we're going to try diving down the inside, maybe of last corner if we have enough enough of a good exit, but we don't actually. His downforce is saving him a little bit, but not for much longer. As you can see here, we're going to tuck in right behind him. Try not to get too much wheel spin, which is really easy to do on the exit there. Stay on the wet side of the track to cool down the tires, because at this point my tires are screaming for help. They are burning from how much I'm pushing. But yeah, again, same move as Danny. Free pass into turn 3 and onto the next car we go. We've got 5 laps to go, and the leader is just right there in front of us. So nothing is written yet, and now it's Barry's turn. He pitted super early like Danny, 6 lap older tires than myself. It should be a very easy overtake. Hopefully he doesn't hold us up too much, because honestly it's a losing fight. There's no way he's gonna keep me behind for more than a corner or 2. So the earlier he gives up the place, the better for me and for himself, to be fair, in his chances of keeping the P6. And we could try to go down the inside here, but he fights it, and I mean, fair enough, he's entitled to do it. He just parks the car on the exit, so I can't get the switch back on him. But I'm just so close, and he's still using ERS to try and defend the position, but there's nothing he can do. We get a really good turn 1. The car felt really good in turn 1. I seemed pretty quick compared to the others, but yeah, again, down the inside to turn 3, another move done. But that has cost me quite a bit of time, and crucially, it could have been enough time to catch the top. I'm surprised how the Red Bulls haven't overtaken Otis at this point, because Otis is on like 5 lap older tires than them, and he hasn't got a puncture somehow. And as you can see, the controversial move.
Jarno's finishing the race like that, okay.
Yeah, Jarno is pitting to finish the race in the pit lane and cutting the track. And yeah, I gave my opinion.
Do that, right? Why would he do that? Man, well, of course not, man.
I thought about it during the race, of course, because again, we all knew cutting was faster.
Crazy calls, well, thanks, good job.
But my engineer said that in the rules also there was like a sporting, like a fair play sporting code, I don't know. And it was just a way too high risk for maybe a little reward.
He did that for the content, man. He did that for the content.
And yeah, I mean, I do believe he kind of did that for the content as well. I mean, it brought him more attention than a win would, if you know what I'm trying to say, which makes sense. I mean, fair play for him for going for it, but I fully expected a penalty. He counters with the fact that it's not in the rule book, but at the same time, we're trying to be the fairest and the most talented league racing competition. And yeah, mistake for PSGL for not putting it in the rules like explicitly, but also you can't put every single scenario in the rule book. It's just very a gray area, but nonetheless, Jarno gets a penalty, and so does Otis for a move at the beginning of the race on Bari, which means we are finishing P3. Podium for us, starting from P7, very good result. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching today's video. I'll see you guys in the next race in Zandvoort, and goodbye.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's gonna... All it takes is your...